tiny fishing boat and about to sink. They'd made a distress call and were soon towed into Lampedusa port. Ahead of them is an overcrowded holding centre where, despite the assurances of the town's mayor, resources are said to be very strained.
We are certainly expecting more arrivals as the weather improves. We are also aware that the summer high season is fast approaching, but I'm not too worried because the migrants are all now contained inside the holding centre, in that model structure, which I've many times described as a five-star hotel where all their needs are met.
But many crossing the Mediterranean aren't so lucky. The wooden crosses in a cemetery nearby tell a tragic tale that's all too common. Just hours before the rescue here, a boat carrying 6 people sank off the coast of Sicily, and everyone on board died. And as the fighting continues in Libya, there's no doubt many more will risk their lives for an uncertain European future. Jim Spencer, AlJazeera.
Okay, let's get more on what's happening in Libya, and there's reports of gunshots in Tripoli. We can go now to our correspondent Anita McNaught, who's there. Anita, can you tell us what's happening?
I can't tell you what's happening, but I can confirm there are gunshots. There are gunshots, automatic gunfire, sporadic gunfire. It's been going on in a sustained way now ever since I rushed out the front of the hotel here. To give you an idea of my location, I'm downtown, but I'm right on the waterfront. That was a bit closer. It's a little hard to judge where it's coming from because there are tall buildings here sending the sound back. But the sound is reverberating from all directions at the moment. And a police car that is parked every night outside the front of the hotel, a policeman has just run to it, hopped in it and driven away. Rather intriguingly, there's also been fireworks let off not far from here. Now, we've seen that happen several times. Every time the Libyan government decides there's something here that it wants to celebrate, it lets fireworks off in the central city areas, in places like Green Square. So that may be confusing the audio somewhat, but what else is going on is unmistakably gunfire, and unmistakably quite widespread. But who is firing and at whom, it's absolutely impossible at this point to tell from here.
Anita, we've been hearing about running battles in different parts of the country. What has been happening in Tripoli up to now?
Tripoli has been a very different story. Tripoli has been under very, very tight control since the one night, not quite 2 weeks ago, where protests suddenly broke out and the whole city for one night, as someone described it to me, was on flames. That's, of course, actually an exaggeration, but there were protests spread across several districts of the city that came without the government being prepared for it and rattled the government very badly. But since then, the city has been under tight control and tight surveillance, and on every occasion where it's considered there might have been a repeat of that, the security lockdown has been total. We've also had no internet for the past 2 or more days. We lost landlines a day or so ago. And the police presence, security presence, and the presence of secret police in their SUVs has also been very visible on the street. Tripoli has been an extremely carefully maintained city, shall we say. The chance of letting the government very keen to ensure that the chance of anything happening again, except in sporadic districts like Tajura and Souf Jumar, where the original uprisings took place, is as limited as they can possibly ensure it can be.
Anita, thanks very much for that. That's our correspondent Anita McNaught, who's in Tripoli, updating us on the latest of what's happening in Tripoli. Right, U.S. President Barack Obama has appealed for political opponents to meet halfway on the country's proposed budget. Now, he made the remarks during his weekly radio and internet address in the U.S.
We need to come together, Democrats and Republicans, around a long-term budget that sacrifices wasteful spending without sacrificing the job-creating investments in our future. My administration's already put forward specific cuts that meet congressional Republicans halfway. And I'm prepared to do more, but we'll only finish the job together by sitting at the same table, working out our differences, and finding common ground.
The president made that address from a Florida classroom, a state with one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. There are some signs that the economy of the Sunshine State may be recovering, but for those struggling to find work, it doesn't seem that way. From Miami, Kimberly Halkett reports.
2011 hasn't been a good year for Gabriel Martinez. 2 months ago, this corporate operations manager and father of 2 young children lost his job. After weeks of scanning openings at this Florida job center and sending out resumes, he still hasn't found work.
I don't see things turning around like that. I don't see it. I don't feel it. I mean, if I say I've applied in the last 2 months for over 200 positions, I don't think I'm exaggerating. And I haven't gotten a single call back, an opportunity for an interview.
The Bureau of Economic Research officially declared the U.S. recession over in 2009, but the job markets remain flat. Roughly 9% of Americans are looking for work. In Florida, it's 12%. Only California and Nevada fare worse. Currently, more than 1 million Floridians are unemployed. But after years of dismal financial forecasts, economists are once again optimistic.
We're on our way out of what's been a very deep hole. I think the outlook, the longer run trends are all quite favorable. Some of the strategic things we're doing here all bode very well for Florida's economic future.
Those strategic things include huge investments in health science and medical fields. Technology, construction, and education are also predicted to be major areas of growth. Forecasters predict Florida's now on track to create more jobs over the next 5 years than any other state in the country.
This biotech park in downtown Miami is just one sign things are getting better. It's being built to house life sciences and technology companies moving to Florida to take advantage of the large labor pool and rock-bottom real estate. It will not even be open until June, but it's already half full.
Florida also stands to gain from a boom in trade with its southern neighbors. As more and more financial companies move in, this Miami Strip is quickly becoming the Wall Street of the South.
Okay, this is very good to you because I know that you are very stable in your life.
But for Martinez, Florida's rosy outlook is of little help. He needs a job now.
You know, at this point, I'll take whatever I can get.
Martinez says he's cautiously optimistic he'll be able to find work soon, now that his state is finally back on track and poised for growth for the first time in years. Kimberly Helkett, AlJazeera, Miami.
Okay, let's get back to the main story we're following and the situation in Libya. There are reports that there are gunshots. There has been gunfire in Tripoli. We can now speak to a Tripoli resident for the latest on this. He doesn't want to be named for his own safety, but thank you very much for speaking to us. Firstly, can you tell us what you've been seeing and hearing?
Yeah, actually, we're hearing like a lot of sort of like guns, shots. Like we still hear it right now.
Exactly where are you, and is it clear where these shots are coming from?
It comes from downtown. We live like in AlJazeera, like 8 kilometers from downtown.
And is this an area where people usually gather?
Sorry?
Can you tell us about this area and whether there has been clashes here before?
Yeah, like the area where the shots come from downtown side. We are living the west of Tripoli.
Okay, can you tell me?
Still here. Yeah.
Okay, can you